Same shit. Same shit, different day, PJ. Here we find ourselves again back at... I was about to give my address out there for free, but I don't need people coming back to this video a decade from now and figuring out where I live.
Yep.
We're somewhere in the Midwest, which is already probably saying too much. And we're back here for the first time in... How long's it been, PJ?
I actually have zero clue. We were just saying beforehand, I feel like it's been a while since we've done one, face to face.
Yeah, it's true. How do you feel the dynamic? Do you think the dynamic changes at all when it's face to face versus when I'm looking at you through the screen?
I mean, obviously a little bit. I don't know exactly how, but I mean, I would agree somewhat. I wouldn't say my approach changes, but maybe. I don't know.
I think the only thing that gets thrown off a little bit is the timing, obviously. Like when I'm right here, it's real time. I can tell when you're about to start yapping.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
We definitely do cut each other off, not on purpose, but definitely do it.
But yeah, like there's a little signal loss, so I'm like talking, and I'm like, is he going to start talking now?
Yeah. Fair.
But
Fair.
We don't got to worry about any of that today.
Nope.
Because right here, right now, we want to give a special shout out to our boy Tim Radke. He's on a hinge date right now.
He is absolutely dialed.
He is.
I mean, we're talking like McGregor type confidence versus Jose Aldo going into this hinge date.
Hopefully he's not getting better, getting loose until that. Hopefully he's the other guy, but we believe in him.
He's definitely going McGregor versus Eddie. He's not Eddie Alvarez.
No, he's touch and go.
Yeah.
Nah, he's
just stay at range, Tim. Pick your spots. Be smart about it.
He's definitely already at home right now with his hands down his pants, dude. Nah, good luck, dude, to our boy Tim. But enough of that. We were fortunate enough to be with some of our other buddies this weekend as we watched UFC 310, headlined by Pantoja and Asakura. PJ, in terms of our picks for the main card, I want to say we went 4 for 5, which was very good, right?
Yeah, we did. We went 4 for 5.
In terms of the bets we placed,
that's another story.
Tough night at the office. But we didn't advertise those, so as far as you guys know, we were fine.
Yeah, no. I mean, what we gave you guys, as long as if you just took money line and you didn't take other props like us, morons, you're good. Yeah. You would have been good. You would have won 80%.
I think the problem we run into at times is that we think we're so well versed in the sport that we really get into the details. And sometimes I'm like,
you just got to keep it simple.
Yes.
We do need to start. I definitely always do that. Like when I'm about to place a wager, I'm like, this is going to hit. And then I look back at it, I'm like,
why?
Why did I complicate it? Why don't you just keep it simple?
And there's nothing more, and there's not one bet that I'm kicking myself more over than betting the over 2.5 on Pantoja versus Asakura.
But you see, that's the thing, is like Pantoja isn't, I mean, he has gotten guys out early in fights, but
not for a good long
it's just
while.
Like during, I don't know, going into the fight, I would bet the over 100 times out of 100. If I had to replay that fight, if I replayed that moment again, but looking back on it now, absolute morons we are.
You get hexed a little bit by the marketing going into it too. You're thinking, this Japanese guy, he's the champ over there. He finishes dude. He's going to be dangerous. And then you kind of forget he's fighting in Ryzen. Quality's just not the same as it is in the UFC. Pantoja is as good on the ground as he is anywhere else. Why would he not take the fight there? Why would he not test this guy on the ground? And that's what he ended up doing. And regardless of what the whether our bet or whether our money was gained or lost, Pantoja, his stock continues to rise because he got him out there, got him out of there in very impressive fashion, I would say.
Yeah. Wow, we kind of had a moment there where we... I didn't know if you were going to keep talking or not. Wow, we are rusty. No, I would have to agree. I mean, there wasn't really any point in the fight except, a couple flashy strikes here and there from Asakura where I was like, really thought Asakura had control. For the most part, Pantoja just does what he does, applies relentless pressure on you and eventually gets you to fold. He obviously, in his title fights, hasn't gotten a finish yet. This was his first finish in his, this is his third title defense, correct?
Yeah,
yes. Asakura looked pretty calm when Pantoja took his back. I don't know if you recall. He was like kind of smiling like he had been there before. And I was like, buddy, you have not been here before. And Like you said, Pantoja got the job done. RNC. Can I say I'm surprised? No. Am I a little upset about our betting selections? Yeah, but you know what? We're not here for that, and nobody cares besides us. So,
No, yeah.
You know what?
Yeah,
At the end of the day, you guys care about the fact that Alexandre Pantoja and he made it look pretty easy, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that flying knee, I mean, that's kind of what I came for. I did expect, I thought El Sakura was going to have him hurt at least at some point.
Yeah.
He definitely was threatening in some instances, but like PJ was saying, just the championship pedigree of Pantoja was 10 times as much as that of Asakura. That being said, he had a pretty cheeky call-out, Pantoja did, after he got the victory. Called out one, Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, as seen here. The GOAT of the UFC flyweight division, but that being said, it seemed like he wasn't really interested in that sort of thing, huh, PJ?
No, DJ immediately hopped on YouTube and kind of, I'm not going to say exactly what he said, but he said he's not returning to MMA. They offered him, I think I heard $2 million to return, but unfortunately I think we've seen the last of DJ in the cage.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what is next for Alexandre Pantoja.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I think we talked about it last week about how the flyweight division's a bit thin, and he's beaten. I don't know exactly, but we can go down the list real quick. He's beaten Royval twice already. Definitely once. Just defending his title against him recently. He's beaten Brandon Moreno like 4 times.
3 times. He beat Moreno twice officially and one unofficially.
Amir Albazi coming off the loss, so you can't even think about that. Kai Kara France, I mean, he's beaten Kai Kara before too. Tatsuro Taira coming off a loss, and then everyone else kind of beneath that is a little bit irrelevant at the moment. Cape is fighting this weekend, so you could take a look to see how he ends up doing on Saturday. But yeah, like PJ was saying, it doesn't seem like no one's hopping off the page at the moment. I was watching the Pound for Pound podcast with Kamaru Usman and Triple C, and Henry had to say something, so he kind of teased. He said, Kush, I might be taking a look at that 125 division. Maybe I'm next for Pantoja.
That's exactly how it sounds. Wow, that was really good.
I watched too much of that podcast.
I was gonna say, I know. I watch a lot, but clearly you're watching more. Clearly you're watching more than me. That was good.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah, it's difficult because I don't know if I had $1 for every time we fucking say this. Flyweights are freaking entertaining, but
I love the division.
Yes,
I really do. It's a shame there's not enough name power in it, because if they had the name power, it would easily be like the most entertaining division in the entire sport.
And unfortunately for the flyweights, I mean, Pantoja just seems to be a couple steps ahead of the rest of them. I mean, the only one who I see giving him any problems is Brandon Moreno, but to this point he has not proven successful.
Well, I think next is gonna be, unless they pull out somebody else out of the hat, I think it's gonna be Brandon Royval again, just because he recently defeated Tatsuro Taira. I mean, it's either got to be Royval or Kai Kara France, because Kai Kara France obviously just knocked out Steve Erceg, who challenged Pantoja for the belt not too long ago. But yeah, I think the UFC was kind of hoping that Albazi or Taira would win their next fight, and they were obviously going to be a next clear contender who hadn't fought Pantoja yet, but they both lost. So I think the UFC might be a little pissed about that, but at the same time, Brandon Royval, I would like to say he could give Pantoja problems because he's the tallest guy in the division by far.
It's just crazy. That fight was, it was less than 18 months ago, right?
It was December 2023. Yeah, the last event, the last pay-per-view of 2023.
So literally a year ago. So when it would happen, exactly. It'd be within 18 months, if that's what's next. And I do think Royval didn't give the best account of himself in that fight, and that fight wasn't the best fight. If they were to go in that direction, I would be hopeful that it would be a more exciting fight. But, I mean, just the way Pantoja's been handling these guys lately, there's no one right now who I feel confident in saying this guy, he's the one to knock him off the pedestal of the flyweight division. So, again, I'm really stuck here in terms of what to do next. A move up to 135 would be justified, I think, at this point, but I don't think that's the direction UFC is trying to go in, especially with, Umar and Merab. They have business to do in January, which we'll get to later. Because I don't think we've discussed that, have we?
No, not really. But 135 is such a deep division that it's just kind of tough. I mean, like the thing is, Pantoja is kind of clearing out the division, but at the same time, like there's so many fights still to make at the bantamweight division that I just don't know if it's going to happen. Plus, I do think Pantoja might be a little too small for the bantamweight division.
Yeah.
I don't know how he like.
What is he? 5'4", 5'5"?
He I think he's 5'5".
Yeah.
So I just don't. I mean, not that Merab or Umar are that tall, but in terms of just like
they're thick and strong guys. So
yeah, you said it, not me. Yeah, they're I don't know. Enough talking about it. Let's just be honest here. Pantoja's not losing anytime soon.
I know.
He's an absolute animal. He's a force. I will say, Asakura is now ranked number 14, I believe. I don't know
why it's not on here, but yeah, he's 14.
It's not updated on there, but he is 14 in the newest UFC rankings. Where do you kind of go with him next?
I mean, I think you can kind of do anything with him. I feel like you'd be warranted to give him. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they give him a look at like a top 5 opponent. Imagine him versus Tatsuro Taira. Especially they've been talking about going over to Japan and doing an event over there. That would be massive, right? But even anybody in between, Steve Erceg, any of these guys, I think because there's no clear-cut guy at this moment, I think you're pretty comfortable going with pretty much anybody in the top 15. I mean, that seems kind of like a cop-out to your question, but I mean, I could easily see them going for a Tim Elliott just as quickly as they go for a Tatsuro Taira, or even an Amir Albazi.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say, if I had to pick one, I would pick Steve Erceg, because in terms of the rankings, and they're both guys that fought Pantoja at a lower ranking, and I think the two of them, it would suck to see one of them lose, because I still do believe that both of them can make another title push. But if I had to pick, that's what I'd pick right now.
I agree. I think that would be a fun one.
Yeah, it'd be fun too, for sure.
I'm glad I'm not playing matchmaker on this one, because the UFC, they're gonna have some questions to answer in terms of what's next for Pantoja. But regardless of who it is next, I'd be pretty comfortable tossing my dinero on him. That's all I'll say about that. But we'll move on down to the co-main event, which, I don't know, PJ, I'm sure you have the same opinion as I do in terms of where it lived up to in terms of hype. You could very well disagree, but what do you think?
Obviously I wouldn't say it was the most exciting fight, but the thing is, obviously these guys individually are two absurdly exciting fighters to watch, but when two high-level mixed martial artists meet together at some point, like, the talent is just going to neutralize the excitement. Like, obviously, when you're levels ahead of your opponent, like Ian Gary against Song Kanan, you can just kind of get away with being, super flashy and all that entertaining stuff. But when it comes down to somebody like Shavkat, you can't mess around. You can't be throwing spinning shit and missing. You can't be dilly-dallying out there, because before you know it, you'll be on your back or you'll be unconscious. So in terms of excitement, I would say it didn't live up to it. But in terms of like the quality of the fight, I would say it was a very good fight. Just, obviously not very appealing to the fans.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on this a little bit ago, that, you're not going to take the same risk as you would when you're fighting an unranked guy. Yeah. And this fight definitely looked like two guys who knew the caliber of the opponent that they were facing.
There was a lot of mutual respect there, for sure.
They knew that their, undefeated records were on the line, so there's a little bit more hesitancy, a little bit more of a willingness to not step into the fire. Shavkat, he threw a couple, he threw that spinning wheel kick. But besides that, I mean, everything was pretty basic.
Yeah, I would say early in the fight, I don't know if it was the first or second round, Shavkat did land a couple big overhand rights that I think Gary kind of quickly adjusted to. But besides that, like you said, kind of basic. The only time it was really like heart level was racing, it was in that fifth round when, was it fifth or fourth round? Was it
fifth round?
When Gary had him in the choke, and for a second, I literally thought Ian Gary was going to put Shavkat unconscious. That would have been unreal.
That would have got me on my seat for sure. Luckily, I did take the over 2.5 on this one. I thought that was probably the biggest lock of the night, to be honest. And these guys, Gary tends to fight out at range as it is, and Shavkat's not the type of guy to just like run you down, that sort of thing. Yeah. Speaking of which, I was caught off guard by how good Gary's takedown defense was. Yeah. I think Shavkat went something like 2 for 8 on takedowns.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact stats, but
a lot of that led to a lot of clinch work against the fence, which kind of slowed it down, which was unfortunate for the viewer. But again, they can't all be bangers, PJ, you know?
Yeah, no, but I mean, I still think it was a very high-level fight. And like you said, I think Ian Gary's a lot better than people actually think. I think a lot of people get caught in the fact that Ian Gary's kind of I don't know if I'm going to call him weird or annoying or what he is exactly, but...
He's a little bit of a doofus sometimes.
He is kind of a doofus, but he's a really good mixed martial artist, I will say. Yeah, great. He's a good doofus. I do think, and I said it before this fight, I'll say it again, I do think these guys are going to fight each other again, I would assume, for the belt, because I'm going to take a guess that Shavkat is going to touch gold at least once in his UFC career. Where do you think I was going with that?
I thought you were going to say he's going to beat Bilal next.
He's going to beat Bilal next?
Yeah.
I mean, he might. I'm just saying, at some point, I do think Shavkat will touch...
Dude, I'm the biggest Bilal fan out there.
You're not. You're not.
I am on the Bilal train.
It's just such a win-win to be on his train because you can clown everybody because everybody else hates him. So it's actually pretty easy to be a Bilal fan, I would say, because all you control and piss anybody off instantly by like supporting Bilal Muhammad.
Remember the name.
But speaking of that, real quick, after this fight, Shavkat obviously and Bilal is going to be the next fight made. That was the original fight that was scheduled to headline this card. The security didn't even know that Bilal was the champion after they tried to get them two to face off in the octagon. So
spot on.
That was
that was really unfortunate. And they were Conor was clowning on him. Usman was clowning on him.
Usman that made Usman and Conor come to get. Well, Conor didn't come to Usman, but Usman usually hates on anything McGregor says, and even he was like laughing with Conor. So that's how you know a lot of people don't like Bilal when you get someone like McGregor and Usman teaming up on you.
Again, I'm a big fan of Usman and Cejudo's podcast, Pound for Pound, but I've been taking a little bit of issue with the way Usman's been carrying himself lately because he does hop on Bilal whenever he gets the chance, right? And then Ian Gary, I think, called Usman out after the fight as a potential next opponent. And Usman kind of big-timed him, talking about, does he deserve that sort of fight, yada, yada. Usman, obviously, you're one of the all-time greats at welterweight, arguably the GOAT. I know you got into an argument on Twitter. Some nerd on Twitter was, I don't even know how you...
Like people don't...
In
social media, people just don't read. No. Like, they just, they hear what you're kind of saying and just run with it. And don't, if you don't know what we're referring to, I literally just said... Usman is arguably the greatest welterweight of all time. And the guy quoted me and said, best welterweight of all time. And I go, dude, oh my God. I don't even know even to say what I want to say. But that guy, I'm like, dude, where did you miss the part arguably in that sentence? Anyways, continue.
But regardless, you got to remember, Usman's he's 0-3 in his last 3 outings, you know. And not shoddy competition. Edwards being 2 of them, Comes out on short notice being another. But when you haven't fought in that long, and you haven't won since 2020...
Probably two.
Late, either early 2020... When he fought Edwards in the late summer of 2023. I remember because I was throwing a house party, and that fight was on, and I remember thinking, Usman has it in the bag, and then my friend Gio came up out of nowhere and goes, he head kicked him in the last minute of the fight.
Dude, yeah.
I was like, no.
That's like one thing I will actually, like, a place I will never forget where I was, because I was in such, like, I was in absolute, like, awe.
Yeah.
As to what actually had happened. Yeah.
No, but back to the point I was trying to make. Usman, I don't think you're really in a position right now, regardless of what you've done in the past. Yes, of course, you have a little bit of sway in what you do next. But, you know, you can't be acting like you can just turn
2021 was his last win.
Woo!
Yeah, versus Colby.
That is tough. And your last one was Colby Covington, who hasn't been...
That's a great win, honestly. I mean, that was a really good win.
Anyways.
Yeah, okay, well, here's what I will say about Usman. A lot of people wanted him to step in on short notice and kind of fight for that title when Bilal stepped out. A lot of people wanted to see an interim versus Shavkat and Usman, and I'm actually rooting for Usman to get the title back. Do I think he will? Probably not. Would I love to see him do it? Yes. He has lost 3 in a row, but I do think he kind of has earned the right to kind of pick the fight he wants next, because he fought Khamzat Chimaev voluntarily on 10 days notice. Nobody else in the entire UFC is doing that. Not to mention Khamzat is the scariest dude in the entire company.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Just real quick before we move on to the next fight. I remember not too many years ago there was questions to be raised about who would win a potential matchup between Shavkat and Khamzat. And I'm not trying to judge anybody based purely off their last performance. There has been
that you're only as good as your last fight, though, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean, and do I think that if Khamzat fought Gary, that if he shot 8 takedowns, he'd only get 2 of them? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think
Khamzat beats anybody at welterweight. I will make an argument. The only one I think that has a slight chance in a 5-round fight, I don't hate Usman's odds in a 5-round fight against Khamzat. Besides that, Khamzat absolutely mops the floor, I think. I'm not even going to lie. Might be a hot take. I think he would mop the floor with Shavkat too. I'm just going to be completely honest with you.
Dude, the way...
He would take him down, and I think it would look fairly easy.
I mean, I'm just thinking to myself, Gary almost got your neck, and he's not a submission guy whatsoever. I can only... And
it's not even the technique. It's literally just the overwhelming power that Khamzat has. It's like it throws all technique out the window. Obviously, Khamzat has great technique, but I'm saying like any fighter that has any, like Usman, the best takedown defense in the history of the welterweight division, and in the first 5 seconds of the fight, the whole first round, for 5 minutes, he was on his back.
Yeah, no, literally. It's the technique in addition to the physicality that it brings. I mean, and Whitaker touched on it after their fight as well. He said, how do you stop that takedown?
Literally.
If someone shoots that low, what can you possibly do?
He said literally there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah. I'm glad that many years ago I chose Khamzat to be my champion. He has not been a champion yet.
Should be. He should have been like 2 years ago, though.
And for all you guys saying, well, it's easy to pick Khamzat. Okay, you guys, my favorite soccer team is fucking Tottenham. My favorite football team is the Bears.
I'm currently a Bears, Cubs, and IU basketball fan.
Yeah.
Like, I actually don't know how I'm not 6 feet under.
So give me this.
I will have to give it to him.
So give me this. That's all I'm fucking asking, right?
Yeah, well, he's still got to deliver. That guy's got to get in the cage again.
He has to.
If he just steps in the cage for his next fight, he'll be the champ.
Well, I don't know. We'll talk about what could have been next for him.
And I hope he actually murders that guy in particular.
Yeah, I had to rep Sean Strickland.
I know you like that guy now, but I think he sucks.
No, if I'm being honest, this guy's pissing me off. He's really fucking pissing me off. But we'll get to that. We'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
But
so,
just
say some more interesting fights.
A couple more fights that stood out to us.
Cyril Gahn put on a masterclass. Obviously, he won that fight. No, let's be honest here. Any avid follower knows I'm big on Cyril Gahn. I always will be. I was pretty nervous for his fight.
But you told me with 100% confidence that Cyril is not losing, dude. Just not.
And he 100%. He won that fight. He won.
Dude, the look that we gave each other when he got taken down in the first minute of the fight.
All right, here's what I will say, and this is going to have to go on TikTok right now. I don't even know what I was going to say now. You're laughing so hard.
No,
cut this part out and resume. Cyril Gahn, obviously the first round when he got taken down, I'll be honest, my jocks, they were trembling just a little bit. Volkov obviously came with a smart plan. These two fought before. I think it was a 5-round main event fight in the Apex, if I'm not mistaken. So they obviously had a lot of cage time together where Gahn just completely outclassed him on the feet. And Volkov's making one last push at the title here, so he came in with a solid game plan. I did say after the second round, it's either 2-0 Gahn or it's 1-1. Mm-hmm. And clearly, two of the judges saw exactly what I saw, the greatness in Cyril Gahn, and gave him the first 2 rounds. Well, and I think a lot of people are pissed off at the fact that he won is because he clearly lost the third round.
Yeah.
And recency bias is definitely a thing in MMA, so...
I will say, all that you make good points there, but I do recall that after the fight was over, you specifically said, "Can we just be on the right side of a robbery for once?"
Did I say that? Did I say that? Yes. Do I really think it was as big a robbery as people are making it? No. Do I think there's an argument for Volkov to win the fight? 1,000% yes. I'm not going to say that Cyril Gahn won that fight. I'm not going to say I was confident in him, but I did say that there's a possibility Gahn won the first 2 rounds, and clearly he did.
Well, regardless whoever won or lost, I don't think really the fans won too much from that one. Again, it was another fight on the card that was kind of just obviously the controversy around it kind of outweighs what the fight itself. And unfortunately, when you get these decisions where, you know, a lot of people think the right guy didn't win, you don't really, like, does this warrant, you know, Cyril Gane getting a fight above him? I don't really think so.
Yep, I think I don't know if the rumors were true, but I did hear somebody say that Volkov and Dana White Dana White had said to Volkov, like, you will get treated like you won that fight. We schedule your next fight. But who do you even give?
Yeah, I was going to say, because there's only...
Volkov has fought, like, literally the entire top 5, except for, obviously, John Jones.
Yeah.
So...
getting treated like he won that fight, what does that even mean? Because he's not going to fight Tal Aspinall next. He's not going to fight John Jones next. He's already beaten Sergey Pavlovich, and there's no way that if they ask him to do that again, he says yes if they ask him to do that again.
No, he didn't want to do it the first time.
Jalton Almeida's a bad stylistic matchup for him. And I think he's busy with Sergey Spivak, it might be. So only that leaves our perennial top 5 guy, Curtis Blades, in the mix, as always. But again, I don't know. Again, I don't know if anybody really gains anything here.
Huh.
Yeah.
See if you did.
Especially Gane. I don't know what you're gonna do with him. They're gonna give him Jalton Almeida after he fucking wipes the floor with Sergey Spivak. I can almost guarantee you that's what they do.
Damn it! Yeah,
but it doesn't matter because we won't see him for 14 months anyway, and he tends to do that from time to time.
Sure, you got to get more active, pal.
Probably go make another movie while he's at it.
Hey, he's enjoying life.
Honestly, you can tell the guy kind of does. He does MMA because he just happens.
I was gonna say he's definitely not. Let's just be honest here. His life is not dedicated to MMA. He's enjoying life, and that's I mean, I do like the guy. I think he's cool, but you gotta lock in a little more than that, Gane, because he didn't give the greatest performance whatsoever. But
you still maintain that he will raise gold.
I mean, he already did raise the gold technically, so I'm half right. But anyways, next fight. Do we even have to spend time on this one? Let's just be honest. Bryce Mitchell knocked out Crone Gracie. We both had second round, I believe. He knocked him out in the third round.
Thank God.
Crone Gracie and Nate Landwehr. Let's just combine these two together real quick. Crone Gracie and Nate Landwehr are the 2 worst fighters. So now I have an updated list for you guys now. Crone Gracie is the number 1 worst fighter in the UFC. And then 2A and 2B are Cheeto Vera and Nate Landwehr for the worst fighters in the entire UFC. And it ain't even close. Like, number 3 is, like, levels below how bad they are.
Crone Gracie, I think if you put a poll out,
I genuinely believe I could beat Crone Gracie in a stand-up boxing fight right now. If he walked down these stairs and we fought 5 rounds, I think I edge out 3 of those rounds.
Well, to quote Chael, he said Crone Gracie fought like a pothead at UFC 310. He said he fought like he smokes pot. Thank you, Bryce Mitchell, for taking him out. But that is a good segue because both Doo Ho Choi and Bryce Mitchell got the victory, and I really like Doo Ho Choi's call out. He says he wants Bryce Mitchell next. He said that before Bryce Mitchell had even taken on Crone Gracie.
Everybody knew Bryce was winning.
Everyone knew what was going to happen there, and Bryce accepted. So sometimes guys, they are as easy as that, you know.
Yeah,
hey, 2 guys say we'll shake hands on it, and let's get it going.
And I think both of us were kind of pretty impressed with Doo Ho's
Superboy.
Yeah, it is. It's Ho. I keep seeing the 2 O's in the first, and I want to say Doo Ho Choi. His performance was pretty good. He did fight the 2B worst fighter in the UFC, but
the consensus.
I think that fight makes good sense. I mean, Doo Ho's looking to get back in the rankings. Obviously, he hasn't been super active. That was his first fight in what?
He fought earlier this year, but before that, he hadn't fought for a year, and then
okay, never mind.
I know what you're referring
to.
He
did take that hiatus off, so I mean, he has been active again. But yeah, I think that fight makes sense. I think Bryce Mitchell is what? Third? What is he in the
17-2, and then
in the rankings.
Oh, he was 14 going into that fight.
Okay, so maybe he moves up a spot or 2, maybe not. But yeah, that definitely makes sense. I don't think anybody cares about Anthony Smith or Dominic Reyes anymore. Fortunately for a lot of people. And I actually feel bad saying that.
I was gonna say, I know what you're gonna say now.
Okay, I'll be more respectful about it. But Anthony Smith has retired now. I think nowadays nobody cares about him anymore. Let's just be honest. He had a pretty solid career.
37-21 is absurd.
Yeah,
absurd. That
Dominic Reyes' new title run is starting now. He actually might be back.
That is a looking at Anthony Smith's recent fights, that is a lot of red.
It's actually crazy that he beat Vitor Petrino, and everybody, I literally,
myself
included, I was like, dude, is he back? Like, he actually might be back.
Guillotined him. But yeah, Anthony Smith, I'm not going to act like I was too nice to you during our run, because I wasn't. But you, my friend, you did fight a lot of fucking high-level guys, and you could have taken the easy way out versus John Jones and been a champion, and you didn't.
I apologize for what I was about to say. I didn't say it, but I was going to say something pretty disrespectful about you. I respect every mixed martial artist except for Cheeto and Nate Landwehr and Kron Gracie. Outside of that, yes.
Yeah.
Good career he had. It's better to see him go out now than have like a Tony. Well, he almost was heading towards the Tony Ferguson route. Yeah, enough about that. Actually, I do have to update my worst UFC fighter rankings. Coming in at number 3 on the worst UFC fighter on the roster, Themba Gorimbo possibly put on the worst performance in the entire, maybe worse than Nate Landwehr.
Yeah, and I have to.
Did we put our coin? Did I put my coin on him? Yes. Did every other leg of my parlay hit besides Gorimbo? Yes. So, am I mad at him? Yes.
I am more mad at myself, though, and this is something I have to remind myself, is that who your competition is so critical, I think, in telling who is more favorable going into a fight. And I think I was definitely overlooking that when I looked at, when I placed my bet on this fight, because Vicente Luque has been in there with the best of the best. He's fought Bilal twice, he's fought Jeff Neal, and definitely a couple other guys in there too that I'm forgetting. And Themba, while he was on a 4-fight win streak, I think I got a little too caught up in that.
I definitely did too.
The silent assassin reminded people, type of skills that he has. Not only did he score a nice knockdown, but when I'm telling you, when I saw him grab his neck with the darce, I knew it was over. That is by far his best submission. Almost, he's gotten to the point where it's almost his signature move, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, he is still very well rounded. Yeah. I think you and I definitely don't take him as serious anymore because of that brain injury that he had. I honestly, I haven't taken Luque seriously since he had that whole surgery. I don't know what it was exactly, but he had that issue with his brain, and everybody was really nervous, saying that he should definitely not fight ever again. And then he obviously has come back, and he's been pretty good since that fight. I believe he suffered that in the Jeff Neal loss when he got knocked out. So he's come back. He's beat RDA. Then obviously, once again, he got smoked by Joaquin Buckley, and that's when I was like, all right, I think his time is up.
But again, Buckley's been great ever since he moved down to 170. So again, I think I'm gonna take, when I place these wagers now, I'm gonna take a serious look at who these guys are exactly.
We gotta be a little bit more. We gotta stop just placing bets at the bar. We gotta do our research beforehand.
I gotta stop asking Mike Dewan who he's throwing his money on. Dude, there's value there.
No, Mike. Let's be honest. Mike just looks at what Alex Caruso has on Twitter and he follows it. And no disrespect to you, Mike. I'm not trying to be a douchebag. Just saying. You and I know the sport. We've got to put more thought into our wagers.
And with that being said, it just so happened this weekend wasn't the best. The weekend before, or the last event before that, 309. I think I was up $70.
Yeah, no, we both profited, and we both did a lot of research, and we both made a lot of money.
Yeah. But as PJ was saying, one fight you got to spend a little bit of time on is this Movsar Evloev fight versus Aljamain Sterling. This fight definitely should have been on the main card.
Actually absurd that it wasn't.
Actually, yes, literally.
We literally watched Kron Gracie instead of Aljo and Movsar.
Now, I'm not even a grappling guy, PJ, but I was excited to see, the different takedowns, trips, sweeps, all these. They were
literally just American wrestling versus the Dagestani wrestling.
Yeah, yes.
And I don't know how a lot of people feel, and maybe my bias is just a little bit overpowering my mind. I do think that going in, and once that fight ended, I thought there was a pretty good chance that Aljo would get his hand raised.
Yeah, likewise.
Movsar is an absolute animal, though. I do think he deserves to fight for a title. I would just say next, honestly. I mean, I don't know if he will, because now we have a lot to discuss about that division. Yeah, Movsar, obviously, just extremely good on the ground, and actually a fairly he actually hits fairly hard. I was watching his strikes. He landed some big overhand rights that I thought had a chance to really hurt Aljo. But yeah,
I mean, it was pretty clear cut. It all came down to that third round, pretty much 1-1, and Aljo he won the first half, but a lot like PJ was saying earlier about recency bias. Sometimes it's about how you finish the fight, and unfortunately for Aljo, Avlolov's the one who finished the fight on top in a dominant position. If it would have been switched around, I think the scorecards, I could say pretty comfortably, would have been switched around.
Yeah.
That's not how it always plays out. Was I really sad because I thought plus 200 on Aljo was value? Absolutely.
100% was.
And I would do it again and again.
I would do that every time.
Yeah. But I don't think any stock was lost in this fight. And fortunately, when you do these when these matches turn into a bit of grappling, no one really comes out with too many serious injuries. So I think we can look forward to seeing these guys step in there again soon.
I hope so.
As for Mosbar, yes, you can make the argument that he's up for the belt next. Maybe it's a vacant belt, as PJ was maybe alluding to a little bit earlier. I don't know. You'll have to stick around and find out. But I think if he really wants to test himself, he needs to take on Yair Rodriguez, and we'll see what happens.
You don't believe that, dude. I thought you were being serious. Well, he will win by decision. He will not. Finish Yair Rodriguez.
Hey, Yair got submissions off his back. No, there's no chance.
Dude,
there's no chance.
Stop that nonsense. But
no chance.
Yeah, I don't know what do we think happens next for Aljo. Obviously, he already beat Calvin Kattar. I don't really like Giga. Maybe just give him Giga.
All these fights are fresh matchups for him. So
yeah, no, Brandon. Oh, you know what? That. Yep.
Grappler's Delight.
Yes.
Aljo versus Brian Ortega is what we got circled on the radar.
That
coming off a loss.
That fight needs to happen next. That would be another great fight. That better be on a main card if it happens. Yeah. I swear to God,
I don't think they'll disrespect Aljo again like that.
They better not. I mean, I think you mentioning back to the stock. I think if anything, Aljo's stock went up because I think for the first time in a long time, Aljo put on an exciting performance, and maybe it was because it was against a guy that's possibly more boring than him, but. I actually gained a lot of respect and a little bit more fandom for Aljo than before this fight. So
no, for sure, we saw him put Mosbar into situations we had never seen him get put into before. No one really tends to engage in the grappling with him, and he was man enough to do it. You could tell you could just tell by the end of the fight he just ran out of gas.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Which you could expect doing all that wrestling, but is what it is. We move on.
I was gonna say, we don't even need to really yap about these last couple fights. Let's go. Brian Battle, obviously a very entertaining guy. He didn't put on the greatest performance. In my opinion, I thought Randy Brown won the fight. Randy Brown himself, I think, was pretty pissed about that performance or about that decision. I don't know. Brian Battle got booed
I really think he purely won because he was the heavier guy. Because a lot of the fight took place against the cage and the clinch, and you could just tell Brian Battle should just outmaneuver him. Definitely. Out manhandle him. But yeah, no one really gains much in this fight, especially when a guy misses weight. So
yeah, Weidman, Chris Weidman, you got to retire.
Please,
you're cooked.
Please.
Joshua. Okay, last thing real quick. Micah Chiesa obviously subbed. Max Griffin. Chase Hooper obviously subbed.
4-fight win streak, 3 straight finishes, I believe.
For who? Hooper?
Yeah.
Wow. So. He might be approaching a ranked. I mean, dude, imagine Hooper up against a ranked lightweight though.
No, that's scary. Don't do that.
Never mind. Kennedy's and Chukwu just knocking out absolute tin cans as of late.
Yeah.
But Joshua Van, another guy, I think his stock rose a little bit. He fought the 14th ranked Cody Durden. And as we mentioned, Asakura is 15 and Joshua Van is 14. Or no, other way around. Yeah. Asakura is 14 in the flyweight rankings. Joshua Van is now 15. He's only 23 years of age, and he's got some slick boxing, in my opinion. He is quick. Obviously, it's a flyweight fight. And this fight delivered, as the flyweight division always does. Yeah. You can go ahead with that one.
I was gonna say the only thing with Joshua Van, his boxing's great. He does tend to find himself in the fire a little bit too often, which I think once you start working your way up, is gonna cost you. I mean, it already cost him in his young career against Charles Johnson. So that is something I would like to see him, fix in part of his game, his defense. But I mean, they always say the best defense is a good offense, and Joshua Van got great offense.
Yeah, no, he is. He'll be around for quite a bit of time. I would like to think.
So yeah, definitely worth mentioning. Look forward to seeing what he does next. And speaking of what's next, PJ, I think we got a few matchups, a few fights that have gotten announced Some of them on the UFC 310 broadcast itself. So we'll just quickly run through them, let you guys know what you might have missed out on.
Actually, I didn't write those down. What exactly? Well, I guess we can do those first. So UFC 312
in Sydney, Australia.
Yes, has been announced. The headliner will be the champion of the middleweight division, Dricus du Plessis, against Sean Strickland, number 2.
The most fearsome middleweight in the world.
Yeah, Dricus is really fearsome. He is a dog. He definitely the first guy to sub Israel Adesanya. He's fearless. Sean Strickland, he was scared to fight Whitaker for a number 1 contender fight. He's really annoying now. I kind of hope he loses, but I also wouldn't be pissed if he won because then he can get choked out by Hamzat in the first round. But that fight is happening on February. I don't know exactly what day in February.
Don't act like you.
I usually do, but I didn't write it down. I bet it's like February 12th or something like that.
It's always like that. 8th.
Oh, I was close. February 8th at the Kudos Bank Arena. And then the co-main event, I think no, not more exciting than the main event, but a great fight. The champion of the strawweight division, Weili Zhang versus Tatiana Suarez, who we were mentioning at the bar, fights once every solar eclipse.
Yeah, dude, I was going to say that.
She is definitely a problem. She just tends to not.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
fought twice in 2023, and then before that had not fought since 2019.
But has great wins. Look at that submission victory over Grasso. Knocked out Esparza. Okay. Beat Nina Nunes, and then obviously subbed Jessica Andrade in her last time out. So she's the real deal. I'm just praying she gets to this fight and gets to the cage, because if she does, don't get me wrong, I'm always Team Zhang. I love Zhang. But I don't know, Jim.
Yeah.
I don't know, Jim. Tatiana's a dog. She's
very good.
That's going to be a great fight.
And I will say, the couple buddies that we were with, they were on the verge of disrespecting this co-main event, but we did not let them.
No. We will never.
I will plant my flag in the ground for Zhang Weili.
Zhang Weili is an absolute beast.
Yeah.
She would probably beat Cheeto Vera in a fight.
Yes, we are part of the Zhang Weili fan club, 100%. I don't care if she fights once a year.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
I agree. Now I have quite some quick name offs here. Some of these are rumors, some just rumors. Some of them are official fights.
But real quick, we did put out a poll on the IG saying,
did we?
Because we did post about the main event. We said, hey, did you guys think that it should have been Strickland stepping in versus And I don't even fucking have it readily available. And we're back. You guys didn't even notice how fast I pulled this shit up. But in terms of votes, we had about 40% of people saying, yes, Strickland deserves a shot. Not to be surprised, a lot of them were white males, besides Alexis Garcia.
Lexi, come on, dude.
And then we had 6. He doesn't even know who the fuck Strickland
He doesn't know.
We appreciate the interaction. And then we had 60% of voters say Hamzat should have been the one.
Was that how many people voted in that?
90,000.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken. But yeah, I mean, that would have been the direction I went in as well. It's hard to believe that Strickland gets a title shot off the back of a boring decision win over a washed Paulo Costa. But sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles, and that's what the UFC's going with. But
who cares?
I think I can say confidently that if Strickland can sit on his ass for that long, then Hamzat can park it for however long.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think in this instance, the winner is fighting Hamzat. It's weird to say that because obviously
been waiting for that.
The championship fight is obviously the bigger fight, but I think, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it's not like, usually when you say that, it's like Hamzat would be the champion and DDP and Strickland would be the number 1 contender fight, but this way, we're the other way around, where the champions are going to fight, and I think easily the winner next gets Hamzat.
Yeah, they're getting Hamzat.
The winner gets to lose their belt. I will say, Strickland blows, he would get killed by Hamzat. I think DDP could put up maybe possibly a little bit better fight.
Just because he could somewhat match the physicality.
You know, to match what you said earlier. He's a little bit of a thick guy. You know, he's a big, strong guy. He might have a chance to withhold Hamzat for more than 2 minutes. Maybe he'll get subbed in 3 minutes, not 2.
We'll see what happens.
Anyways, some quick rumors, just rumors, and official bouts we have. First off, let's just start off with the greatest fighter of all time. Jasmine Jazdavicius.
Dude, that's
She's
hot
fighting
shit.
Myra Buena Silva
Free money.
at UFC Saudi Arabia on February 1. Sergey Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rosenstrike.
Sergey's back.
I would hope so. But dude, Jairzinho throws bombs too. I mean, do I think he's going to win? No. February 1st, UFC Saudi Arabia. The rumored official event is Adesanya versus Nasruddin Imavov. That's not official, so don't take my word for that. But that's what they're trying to target. Will that happen? I don't know. Does that make sense to me? It does.
And I think I seen a statistic that if that fight were to happen, it'd be Israel Adesanya's first non-title fight in something like 5 or 6 years, which is crazy.
I would have guessed more than that, but still, that's a long time. But yes, have that. Obviously, this is from a long time ago. I still had Shavkat versus Ian Gary.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to it.
As we know, Colby Covington fights next weekend. A bit of surprise with Brendan Allen versus Fluffy Hernandez at the whatever UFC event goes on February 22nd.
Jesus, we need to update this shit.
That already happened. We haven't really talked about it yet, but Jiri Prochazka will be fighting Jamahal Hill 11 January 18th. Peyton Talbot will be fighting Rayoni Barcelos at UFC 311 in January. In January in LA. I read that incorrectly. Actually, a pretty good fight here. Gabriel Bonfim versus Renat Fakhrinadinov at UFC Vegas 102 February 15th. And then just announced today, Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Olberg at UFC London March 22nd. Pretty good fight.
That's a damn good fight.
Damn good fight. Besides that, the breaking news, I think probably the biggest headliner right now in the UFC, Ilia Apturo has announced on, I forgot where he announced it, but
Spanish media.
It was in Spanish the whole interview, but he said, "We have seen the last of him at featherweight. He knocked out the two most beloved featherweight fighters, arguably of all time, and he said he's done. He wants to fight in lightweight, and he wants to fight Charles Oliveira for a number one contender fight in April or May. Goddamn, Charles is my favorite. Charles is my favorite active fighter." I know he's up there for you. I don't know. He's not number one. I'm pretty sure, but who doesn't love Dubronx?
Up there.
I also love Ilia Apturo. Maximum aura. Let's start glazing real quick. That fight would be aura would be through the roof. Oliveira versus Apturo.
No belt needed on that card. No belt needed.
No, that could be a 5-round main event. Not that it would go 5 rounds, but you don't really want to see this fight. I do want to see Topuria succeed at lightweight. Do I want to see him fight Oliveira? Not really.
Yeah,
That's very scary as a Charles fan.
A terrible matchup for Charles.
Yeah, I mean,
I would like to say yes.
We count on Charles every fight, and he finds a way to get it done most of the time.
But Topuria's so good. I think Topuria's damn near unbeatable. I think besides Magachev, I think Topuria's unbeatable.
Dude, he probably is.
Because the Diamond threw his name in the hat. Shout out to the Diamond.
I was going to say I'd rather see him fight Diamond. I'm sorry, Dustin. I somewhat like you, but if someone's going to get chinned between you and Charles, I want it to be you.
You got to bite the bullet.
But that's arguably two of the best boxers in UFC history right there. I think that one, I would say the Oliveira one makes more sense because I do think Topuria deserves a one fight at lightweight, kind of like what Pereira did at light heavyweight. One fight and then fight for the title next. I don't know how you feel about that. I do think there were some fights though at featherweight that I would love to have seen Topuria attend to first, but we're here.
We'll see because I think part of it could just be him trolling a little bit.
I guess it isn't official
just
yet.
Teasing an exit. If I were him, would I stick around to fight Mosvar? Probably not. You're not gonna. There's not much to be gained from a fight like that. You could stick around for the Volkanovski rematch, but again, I mean,
nobody wants to see Volk get killed again.
He's gonna mop him even worse than he did the first time. And then there's also the Diego Lopez match potentially looming, which would be a fun fight and I think would do a lot of numbers.
I do wish we could have got to see that
and
one.
Diego Lopez can definitely present problems. And he's so dynamic.
That could be one of the greatest first 2 minutes of a fight of all time.
Dude, give me fucking Diego Lopez versus Charles. God. Dream fight right there.
That would be
I don't know.
That would be literally the two most beloved fighters on the roster fighting, though. Yeah. I don't know about that one.
But regardless, maybe it is the end of him at featherweight. And honestly, if he had beaten any two other fighters to win the belt / defend it, I'd be like, why are you doing that? But he makes a fair point. He beat, arguably, either one of them have an argument for being the greatest featherweight of all time, and if not,
top three, two of the top three,
yeah, exactly,
for sure.
So, we'll see if he moves to light heavyweight. Me and PJ were texting about it. It certainly wouldn't be because if he moves to.
Hey, Taporia's got the boxing. Taporia versus John Mahal would be a great fight. Yeah.
Skill for skill, he's fucking 10 times better than. Gosh.
I know what you're going to do. You're going to glaze him.
I was about to start.
Arturo is sick. I don't know what's going to happen next. Maybe he's just saying that so Uncle Dana pays him a lot more to stay, kind of like what Johnny Bones is doing at heavyweight, just kind of, trying to negotiate more money so he could stay. I wish, like we said, I would love to see him defend against Movzar, and then hopefully Diego Lopez won the title, won a number one contender fight next, and he fought Diego and then go up. But Topuria also said he wants to be done by the age of 30, which would upset me just a bit because I want to see that guy fight till at least 32, 33.
Yeah, I don't know. You never know what the future holds, but I mean, if he was to accomplish everything he sets out to, right? Like if he was to move up to lightweight and take out Islam Makhachev, that would be that would warrant him
he could retire. He could retire after that. I mean, there's nothing that would literally be exactly what McGregor did, and I would have to argue. I mean, that might be better than what McGregor did.
I mean, Eddie Alvarez versus Islam Makhachev.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of it's a bit reversed there because. Obviously, McGregor fought the better guy. He did beat the number one pound for pound guy in Aldo. I mean, I don't know. That could be a good debate topic. What would be a better What would be more impressive? McGregor beating Aldo number one pound for pound than Eddie, or Arturo beating Volk? And Volk and Islam is better. It is. Yeah. But Aldo in 13 seconds though. The Mac. He's back. He's coming back soon.
I mean, Aldo was crying in the locker room after.
Yeah.
He looked like he was feeling the pressure of the moment.
Definitely. The pressure was looking loose.
But, whatever. Fucking Ilya Taporia goes and has the flu tomorrow. We'll probably report it to you guys. So look forward to seeing that.
He's tough. He's tough.
Look.
Do I want to see him fight Charlie Olives? Not really.
Please, no. The thing is, I know Charles will accept it. Charles, no. Charles.
I love you way too much to see you step in there. Could I see Charles winning that fight? Yes. Do I think he would? No. Does anyone beat Taporia? Absolutely not. All right. Anyways, we've yapped.
We've got a fight this weekend.
Yep. Speaking of greatness, he's back. America's champ. That's probably absolutely deafening to the people. But that's how loud we're going to be when America's champion...
I don't know about we.
That's how loud I'm going to be when America's champion steps back into the cage. Colby Chaos Covington is fighting Joaquin Buckley. I actually really, really like Joaquin Buckley.
He's growing on me.
I won't be upset by whoever wins this fight. Am I going to root for Colby? Yeah. Will I be happy for Joaquin? Yeah. Colby is one of the most active... I'm sorry, I gotta stop.
Yeah.
Colby, let's just get right into the predictions. Screw that. What do you think is going to happen in this fight?
I'm not going to lie. Joaquin Buckley's been absolutely on fire ever since he's moved down to 170.
4-0, I believe.
5-0.
5-0, excuse me.
5-0 featuring 3 knockouts, including his last time out. Vicious knockout versus Stephen Thompson, which was just 2 months ago, so quick turnaround for him. I like that a lot. As for Colby, not so quick turnaround. 11 months and 3 weeks.
He got hurt during the Leon fight. That's why he lost.
Yeah, I'm sure he broke his foot. He looked like a... he fought like Miranda Cosgrove, dude. Anyways.
Whoa.
Anyways, do I think Colby Covington can win? I mean, anybody can do anything to the power of God, but unfortunately, I don't think God's going to be on Colby Covington's side this weekend. I really don't. So I'm going to lean towards Joaquin Buckley. Do I think he can score a finish? I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen Colby popped in a good long while. The last person to finish him was, of course, Kamaru Usman a couple of years ago. It's not like Colby fights too often. Oh, damn. I didn't expect to see 4 years and 11 months, 4 years and 2 months, 3 years
Tyron
and 1
Woodley's
month,
in his
2
last 4 fights.
Oh, man. Yeah. Who are we kidding here? I'm going to go. I mean, I know I made a big argument about you got to look at the caliber of competition and whatnot and who these guys have fought. But there's just something to be said about consistency and just, look at the last performance.
The youth.
The youth, for sure.
Joaquin, 6 years. The youth to Colby.
Yeah. I'm gonna lean Joaquin Buckley here, and I think because do I see him winning a decision? I don't know. Obviously, the longer the fight goes, he would lean more towards Colby just because of the cardio aspect. But I think at some point, Joaquin Buckley will be a little too fast and a little too strong, and I could see him flooring him. And
that would make the entire MMA community really happy.
Yeah.
Besides me.
So I'm gonna go Buckley to score a knockout. I don't know. I'm not gonna say what round because I don't know, but I think if there's a way for him to win, that is the way. That is the path.
Definitely. I would agree. Joaquin is not gonna win a decision, in my opinion. I don't know if he has the cardio to do that. Here's the thing. Last time out, Colby Covington fought Leon Edwards. I think Colby had the style to trouble Leon with the pace, but allegedly he broke his foot in the first round, and we saw him do absolutely nothing the entire fight.
You think he broke his foot?
I don't know what happened. I wish I did. If I did, I would feel more confident in my pick right now if I knew what happened, because everybody knows that Colby Covington is a cardio monster. And he just didn't use any of that in his last fight versus Leon Edwards. So
what's strange to see.
It was really weird to see. I do think if the old Colby Covington comes back out, which we hear all the time about old fighters, like, oh, if they can turn back the clock. No, they can't.
The clock doesn't turn back.
But I'm going to lean Colby by decision here. I do think that if the Colby Covington that I know could have been champion, well, he was a champion, but could have been champion, comes out, he can outpace Joaquin, just be weird, just be annoying, mix in the clinch, mix in takedowns, and just outpace him.
There's
I think those two ways that this fight ends, and I think it's the way he picked or the way that I pick.
Yeah.
So
and there is something to be said about all that muscle Joaquin Buckley carries.
He does.
When you're
but he's cutting an extra couple pounds now, so I just don't know if I see new Mansa being strong and quick in the fourth and fifth rounds of the fight.
I can see him being strong enough to fend off the takedowns, but it's not necessarily about if he ends up on his back. It's just about Colby keeping him against the cage and gassing out the arms, just gassing him out in general where he can't have those big explosions. So I do think that if Joaquin Buckley can't find a knockout before the fourth round, I am going to be concerned about what Colby Covington's going to do with him in the championship rounds.
Yeah, no, Colby's not. He's obviously a wrestler. His style is wrestle based, but he's not like your typical guy like Khabib or any of those or Hamzat who's just going to hold you down and sub you. He's just trying to get quick takedowns, hold you against the cage, 1-2 punch, back in the clinch. Just like I said, he's just annoying. He would be an annoying guy to fight and very frustrating.
He wants to exhaust you physically and mentally.
Yeah, yes, and a guy like Joaquin Buckley, he has a huge personality. Definitely wants to put on a show for the fans. I could see, Buckley potentially not fighting necessarily the smartest way and Colby edging this one out. But like I said, I do definitely see Joaquin either knocking out Colby or I just see Colby annoyingly, not for me, but annoyingly outpacing Buckley to a decision. So I guess we will find out on Saturday.
Either way, not a fight I would have ever predicted coming into the year.
Absolutely not. I'm glad to see my boy Colby stepping in on short notice.
Yeah, honestly, yes. He had to do something to fucking warrant some sort of respect, so good for him. I think if it would have been Gary, I don't think he would have taken the fight, but
definitely not. I don't think anybody would want to fight Ian Gary on short notice.
A couple other names on the card: Cub Swanson versus Billy Quarantillo,
yeah. Manel Cape though fighting Bruno Silva. I don't know what Bruno Silva is ranked, but Manel Cape I believe is ranked 9th in the flyweight. Flyweights, like we say, we're the biggest advocates for the flyweight division.
Yes.
That fight's going to deliver. Manel Cape is an extremely exciting guy. The last guy. I don't know about the last guy, but I remember I mentioned it in our last episode that he knocked out Kaya Sakura to be the champion over at Ryzen a long time ago.
Holy shit! Yeah, that's gonna be a good fight. Put all your money on Vitor Petrino. He got guillotined by Anthony Smith, who's I think if you were to vote, he's not active anymore, but PJ was going down his list of worst fighters of all time. Anthony Smith is definitely in the Hall of Fame. But before that, I mean, that was his only loss. That's crazy. That's the only loss of his career. And Dustin Jacoby is 1-4 in his last
terrible.
5. So I would say Petrino takes that pretty comfortably.
And he's only minus 330, so you can definitely put that in a little parlay. You know what I'm saying?
Sprinkler. Adrian Yanez. Didn't even see him sitting in this fight.
Fighting an actual very good fighter, though. He's fighting. I mean, I wouldn't even call him a prospect at this point, but Daniel Marcos is an undefeated mixed martial artist with a record of 18-0.
It does seem
16-0.
It does seem that whenever he has to take on somebody who's somewhat decent,
he loses.
He shits the bed because his 2 losses against Jonathan Martinez and Rob Font, who aren't even the best, but are pretty good.
But like you just said earlier, Marcos hasn't really fought anybody worth any type of ranking or anybody solid at all. He's 3-0 in the UFC, 4-0 if you count his Contender Series victory.
Yeah,
he's fought guys like Davey Grant and Simon Oliveira, and then beat John Castaneda in his last fight. The quality of opponents is not there, but anytime you see an undefeated mixed martial artist, you know they got to be somewhat solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, that should be an interesting fight.
I don't know who Navajo Sterling is.
Also undefeated. He had a nasty knockout on the Dana White Contender Series, a beautiful left hook. You should check that out. He's minus 700, so is he?
No value.
I don't know. But the GOAT does fight. MJ's fighting. Michael Johnson.
He always got one in him somehow.
He beat Dustin Poirier back in the day. Let's never ever forget that. Knocked him out actually.
Yeah, Michael Johnson. Good luck.
The last good one I will say is Joel Alvarez versus Drakkar Klose. I never know how you say it. Is it just Klose or Klose? Klose. Joel Alvarez is actually, in my opinion, a pretty underrated lightweight. He's 6'3", which is absurd. That's probably like the height. Ian Gary and Shavkat are around.
That's damn near Jalen Turner height.
Yeah, I mean, he is a tall guy. He just knocked out Elvis Brenner in his last fight. He subbed Mark Diakise. His only loss in the last...
The guy that knocked out Elvis Brenner?
Yeah. No, he's pretty good. He's got a win over Thiago Moises, Joe Duffy. His only 2 losses in the UFC are to Damir Ismagulov, rest in peace to that guy's career, and Arman Sarukian. So this guy's no slouch.
Fuck. R.I.P. Ismagulov, dude. I freaking
Yeah, he just got booted when he lost to... was it Sarukian or was it somebody else?
It was Sarukian.
But yeah, Drakkar Klose, he's always an exciting fighter. I believe. Wait, I could be mistaken here, but didn't Klose beat?
He fought Dariush one time.
Oh yeah, he lost to Dariush.
He had him hurt bad. It's that famous Dariush comeback.
Yeah, and then he got absolutely bombed. Yep.
Yeah.
That'll be a good fight on the undercard as well. Yeah, whatever. The rest of the card, absolute meat sauce.
But the main event's definitely I'm gonna be tuning in for. And honestly, guys, I'm not doing shit on Saturday. I'll probably watch this whole fucking card, and I'll like it too. Okay.
Manel Cape and Colby Covington and Buckley, I'd say, pretty good fights.
So that about does it, man. 107.
Yeah, we have a little bit to cut out, so we'll be a little bit over an hour.
But you guys don't fucking care. You guys watch these.
If you're still here, you're an animal.
Rude. Guys, this was a great episode. I feel like we really kept the energy going the entire time. I was fucking dead tired after work, but I said I got a podcast to record. I'm gonna get my Diet Coke, my Coke Zero, I should say, and I'm gonna fucking get going.
I do have one last thing, and I think it's something that I think we could briefly mention real quick. Actually, what we have planned for the next episode. Obviously, this is the last event of 2024 for the UFC. So Roman and I were thinking. We get a couple lists going for you guys to get out there on social media and get you guys, give your feedback. We were thinking, potential top 5 fighters of 2024, top 5 fights, top 5 events, yes.
Maybe top 5 performances.
Top 5 fight performances as well. And, if you guys have any type of suggestions, maybe we put
let you guys
poll or you put something out there on Instagram to... you guys want any other lists for either that has to do with 2024, maybe something you want to see in 2025? But that'll probably be your next episode. And I also saw this TikTok of this guy who did a pretty interesting challenge that maybe we can mix into at some point. He called it the over-under challenge, where you and I come up with 10 stats, say a number, and we got to guess the over-under. I think that'd be pretty solid. I think that would be good content. So I thought I'd share that out there.
We're all about the content, guys.
Yeah, on the
Always
topic
about
of
the fucking content.
what we got. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
So look forward to that. We got the Split Decision Pod end of year awards coming up soon. Also, something that we mentioned privately was we did put out our who we thought was going to be champion at the end of 2024.
Oh, that's the other
thing.
thing.
Of course, that is solidified now at this point. So next week you can probably look forward to us reviewing those picks and making our picks for 2025. I have no clue who I picked.
I can't remember anybody besides like Sugar Sean, and that's not going too good.
So I am looking forward to see how that looks. I do want to say I think I put Bilal to be champion.
That wouldn't have happened.
Maybe they said Shafkat. Who fucking knows?
Yeah, well, we have a lot still to look forward to in 2024, and then 2025 is coming. This is crazy.
But this is crazy because we started this 2022 and I'm fucking washed now.
We're going on 3 years, man.
We'll be there soon enough, and of course we'll be at the top soon enough, and I think we're gonna meet you guys there. So you guys give us a follow on Instagram, on Twitter, and we will
See you at the top.
Yes. Sweet.
Great episode.